Hello, welcome to another episode of Houston Art Tribe. I am Kay Sarver, and I am sitting here with Brenda Bunten-Schloesser and her home studio, which is absolutely marvelous, and excited to be here. I think I'll just start by saying that what I first remember impressing me, and it was some pieces you had done that I think you called mosaic textiles, I believe, and they were just blow you away, amazing. So, where did you get your sort of beginnings here that you decided to get into textiles? What kind of inspired that?
I had been working with fabric and surface design on fabric forever. When I was in school, my major was fiber. And it probably has all started from, I was doing art in art, and I started going to school at the Art Institute in Kansas City, and they had a fiber department. Now, coming from a family background of seamstresses and quilters and needle people, and I mean, there was just sewing machines and crochet hooks around me my whole entire life. It just seemed natural that I just migrated into the fiber department, and then I've kind of stayed with that medium.
Makes sense.
Ever since, yeah.
Totally does.
Yeah.
Well, these pieces, I just remember you talking a little bit about, what you did to create these images. Because when I first saw them, actually, from across the room, I thought, is that a painting? And then I got up to it, and the texture, and I realized this is fabric. This is... So you hand dye and hand paint, don't you?
Yeah, I paint all the fabrics with an MX dye, which is a cellulose. And mainly I just work with cotton because each different fabric has its own chemistry, and so let's just stick with one.
Yeah.
And so I paint with the dyes. I make it into a paste and paint it on the fabrics, and usually there's 2 or 3 steps or processes in washing and painting and washing, and then I'll do like a discharge where you like a bleaching type, where you can go and take some color back out where I want to get highlights on a piece of fabric or something. Then I'll cut them all up. Yeah,
that's the part that's so amazing to me, is you were talking about, and because when you get up to some of these, and many of them are like this, it's just like you can see all these little pieces of fabric that create this image with various colors. So you really had to think in so many different processes to create an image, which fascinates me.
Yeah. I do also like building in other traditional fiber techniques on top of the pieces. It adds another layer of depth and texture to it. So like do a piece on the loom, a tapestry type of woven, and then glue it onto the...
Oh yeah, I remember seeing one with the building, and you had... Yeah, it was a woven piece. Wow, that was just so strong.
Some of them I'll do like a traditional coiling technique, like that one that's back there has. It's it's a coil, and you've wrapped yarn around it, and I've usually dyed all the yarns too. But instead of putting it into a basket, I've laid it out flat on the piece and glued it down. And
when I know that just creating that sense of relief, with the levels like you have, it's almost 3-dimensional, and it really creates a strong feeling.
It's kind of a little bit fun because I can play with that, and I have found watching people that go by and they look at the pieces, then they get drawn into it because and then once they get up next to it, they're like, that's fabric.
Yeah. I know that's the same kind of look I'm sure I had on my face, only I probably dropped my jaw because I was like, oh my gosh, this isn't a painting, which would have been great by itself, just but just a combination of things that you do. Now they look almost like they have a wax on top of them. I'm sure it's probably not, but it.
Yeah, it's so while I'm putting them together with a glazing medium and some other gels, they're a little bit fragile at that point.
Oh, yeah.
And I will kind of keep them that way back and forth because I go and change and I look at them for a while and they go, oh, that's not right, and go. Once I've decided that okay, I'm not going to do anything else to this, it's done.
Yeah,
I'll put a pouring medium over it and seal it all in. And sometimes I'll make it fairly, well, not that thick, but fairly thick on there.
It's a nice effect.
And then I put a varnish on top that has a UV block in it, and then that's what mats it all down.
So we're talking about a lot of time put into each one of these pieces. I mean, I don't even know if you have an idea. It'd be ridiculous to ask that. But
yeah, no, I would say the best way I can describe it, because I get asked that a lot, is
forever. My life, my entire life.
How long did the typical saying for an artist? Oh, I've been doing it for 60 years. That's how long it took me.
Since I was in the crib.
Mom threw the blanket on me and there I went.
You were building all this material to be an artist. Yeah, that's true.
But I guess my usual answer is I can probably get about 6 done a year.
Oh yeah. That's amazing. Actually, that's pretty good. Because just seeing these live is amazing. You realize what had to go into that, but just also, well, that's one thing I wanted to ask you, because another part of what you do, I know you do these things. I think you call them soft sculptures, which really are beautifully done, and often I get the feeling of movement when I see these. When did you just start these more recently, or are they something you've been doing all along as well?
Probably all along, and they probably came first.
Okay.
And that they started with a traditional quilting technique, but pushing it beyond the square of the quilt,
like way beyond.
Yeah, and then bringing up multiple layers and to bring in more depth. And those, again, the fabrics, I've painted all the fabrics and with the same process as the others, and cut them all up again and then put them together. Hand quilted, because I'll bring in different layers of batting, and I can control the tension and pulling. So they started first, and the mosaics then probably the first one kind of happened when I was doing a continuing education drawing class, going down, and they had a model and I could go draw a couple times a week, and so one day the model didn't show up, and the instructor, he gets out this huge piece of paper and this little itty bitty mirror. He says, well, we're going to do self-portraits today. Oh, okay, that'll be fun. So I'm working this thing, and it's not working. I bring it home, it's not working. So I start ripping up fabric and putting on it and gluing it on it. And that's kind of probably where they started at, was then I finally got this thing to work, because I had fabric on it now.
That's so cool. That's like just little happy accidents, things that seem like a bump in the road, and it just trips you onto something. That's really neat.
It's just kind of, the process has gone on from there. So, yeah.
And though those with those soft sculptures, I remember you we're part of a art critique group together, and it's been wonderful, because I can really see some of the things she's been doing throughout the year. But you do these drawings first, right? In most cases.
Yeah.
And we were all just amazed with the drawings. They're beautiful, mostly graphite.
Yeah.
And I've encouraged you to show them next to the pieces, because it just another avenue, but they're so fine. I see them here on the walls, some of them, and they're sort of, it's funny because I never thought of some of your sculptures as really, I don't think they're abstract, but they have a sort of that form to them that you may not know what it is at first. With some you can see. Nothing wrong with that, but with the drawings, it just takes it to another level. It's just neat that you brought them in once to show us, but they're wonderful.
They're fun. There's been occasions where I have shown with put them together side by side. And, sometimes curators they don't want them there.
Oh my gosh. Who are those curators?
I don't know, they're the ones that own the gallery, so you just do what they say.
No, it's really funny. Yeah, I know, that's true. That's what happens. But even in the group, we were all like, you were very laid back about, well, I don't know, if I should show them. And we're all like, yes! Show these! They're wonderful. Maybe, it just depends, I guess, how it's hung.
Yeah.
When you start coloring the fabric, do you have a piece in mind at that time, or are you just doing?
Before I start, I know where I'm going because they're so time intensive. So after 3 or 4 months, it's kind of not when you want to go. Oh, the composition doesn't work. So I want to make sure my composition's working before I start, and I will have my colors figured out how I'm going to go. Sometimes I have the drawing and then I don't know what I want to do with the colors, and I will go out and find photographs of landscapes or something, and then I can pick the colors out of them.
Oh, that's great. Taking it from nature.
Yeah.
And that's true. A lot of your work is outdoor. Scenery too, but I remember being really impressed with the one you brought in that you were working on, that were the 3 hands. Talk about that piece.
That is a piece that I actually started it a while back, and I kind of it processed and it developed over time, and I decided I needed to bring in elements from the family and my background on this one that kind of all melted the melting pot into where I'm at. So, like my one grandmother, I couldn't really get. I have some of her quilts, but you cut them up and they really wouldn't work in the piece. So I put a quilting pattern in that piece. And then one of my grandmother's, I have a whole bunch of her crochet stuff, so I cut all that up and put it in there. And then my mother does a lot of needlework and stuff, or did a lot of needlework, and needlepoint was something she really enjoyed doing. So I drew out a piece for the whole, one of the, and sent it to her with yarns I had dyed and stuff for her to needlepoint. And her sight was very bad, so it took her, I ended up finishing it because she couldn't see to finish it.
Okay.
But most of it she did. So her hand was in it, and her influence, and
that's what was so touching, that it was about your family, the women in your life who were these, they worked with different fibers and
very influential. That just I don't think I owned a store-bought piece of clothing until I was probably way into elementary school, junior high.
That's funny. I understand that.
Grandma was always making clothes. She was a seamstress, and
wonderful.
Here comes this box of dresses she'd made for me.
Yeah. Wonderful. It says a lot. It's a testament to the women in our lives, because many of them, my grandmother was a seamstress, and she worked professionally when she was a young woman at some downtown, department store. This goes way back. But, I have memories of that, and she was always making stuff for us, so I relate to
A deal this weekend down in Galveston at Renee Wiley's gallery, the 10-year thing.
That's what I wanted to ask you. Yeah, talk about that.
That was
That's what I'm hearing.
sorry.
No, that's okay.
That's the little girl.
If you've been hearing rattling, it's her puppy. Anyway.
So it kind of came up a few months back. They were talking, oh yeah, we're going to do the 10-year anniversary, and one of the guys that's in the gallery, Jimmy Phillips, who has the wood sculptures, he comes up and he goes, "You've been here for about the whole time this gallery's been open, haven't you?" And I went, "I don't know." I got to thinking about it. I was like, oh my gosh, I have. I've been here for almost 10 years.
That's a sweet gallery. It's in Galveston. Renee Wiley Gallery is the name of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we came for some art walk that you had some work up in, and that was nice to see back then too. But that's a good thing.
Yeah, that was kind of and it was kind of like, wow, it's been 10 years. 10 years. Oh my goodness. That was yesterday. What do you mean?
I know, it goes too fast. Well, that's the thing. I bet you do find that. I hear a lot of artists say this, whatever their favorite medium is, but that they're often finding, a sort of a meditative thing happening. And I would think that would happen with you, especially if it takes so long. You must allow yourself to enjoy each process.
Yeah, and it was before you came. I was kind of piddling with this piece back here, and it was kind of itching at me. I was just ready to bust it all open and get going. And I thought, I can't make a mess because she was coming over here.
I
gotta go find something else to entertain myself with.
I love a worked-in studio. I agree. I clean up too if I have a studio visit, but there's something wonderful about seeing, things partially done or, materials strewn, and I love that.
That's kind of the way my life lives all the time.
Do you have anything? I know coming up. I know you talked about the 10-year anniversary at the gallery.
We did that. There'll be a couple of pieces up at Silver Street for the Visual Arts Alliance.
Wonderful. Yeah.
There's a piece in Paducah, Kentucky right now. The hands are there.
Oh, the hands are there.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
They're there until I think the middle of next month. They'll come home.
Oh my gosh, wonderful.
And I think what else I just had up at the Vignette in Dallas. They had.
Oh yes, the Women's Art Fair.
Yeah,
that's a big deal.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool thing. Yeah. And it was a bizarre space, but it got pulled off. It looked
It looked good.
Yeah,
oh my gosh, you stay active.
I try.
Sure. It is hard sometimes. You just want to do the work and not worry about getting it out there.
When you're sitting here in the studio by yourself and you think, oh, now I'm just talking to myself.
I do that all the time. I always tell
Maybe I need to get out more.
If my partner walks in, he's like, "Who are you talking to?" I was like, "The dogs. The dogs. They're listening here."
Oh, they were.
Yeah, the dogs want to hear this. Oh, funny.
This is an in-home studio, and people will come in. The first thing when you walk into the home, it's like, you have to walk through my studio first.
It's great.
I get some people who go, you look really messy.
No, I love it. They don't understand.
I did a talk at the Webster Presbyterian Church. They have started showing artwork and stuff there.
Oh.
And so they had me come over one evening and do a talk with, they had a lot of my big sculpted pieces up.
Oh, wonderful.
There.
Yeah.
And found the curator that was taking care of it, Deborah Kindred. She said, the thing I found most interesting is about what you just said tonight is the amount of real estate you take up. And I looked at that because this space, I take up this space.
Yeah.
And when I'm painting fabric, I take up the whole entire garage.
Yeah.
And because the hurricane boards come down, and those are my big tables that I work on.
Yeah.
So that's time sensitive in the time of year that you want to work. Because the dye can't get below 70 degrees, I can't really work in the winter. And when it gets to be 100 degrees, I can't work out there.
Oh gosh, no. Oh,
And you don't really want to be in the middle of something when a hurricane blows into the Gulf. So
No.
you want to
Yeah, you live in the League City area. Which is,
it's a mandatory evacuation zone.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So it really does. That's what I was going to ask you too. Is that it takes up a lot of. I wondered if you did the dyeing in here.
No, that's very messy. So that's outside, and then I will use the kitchen because some of the stuff has to be cooked, and I blendered to make the paste and stuff.
Yeah.
So I got my mess going in there, and then I got my mess going out there, and
you need space.
I'm spilling out into our living space with the loom and stuff now.
Well, it's good. It's good you've got a good size home to do that.
Yeah.
And perfect.
I remember when Winter Street had first opened. I was down there in those galleries. I thought, this would be so cool to work in this space with all these other artists around you, and then I kind of looked at that. I wouldn't fit.
Yeah.
How do you bring the garden hose in to clean up the ground after you?
Yeah, some things are just too messy to. Yeah, those nice little neat pristine studios.
Yeah.
But I do see some. There's a clay artist I can think of who has a large studio. I don't know which one of the warehouses she's in. She's got woodworking stuff in there and kilns and just it's just
really using the space.
I mean, it's good to see. But no, this is perfect setup. Plus you don't have to leave.
I don't have to leave. It was when I started working right out of college, I had to get a job. That's just what you got to do. I really couldn't go on to get a master's degree because I had to get a job. And then once you got a job, then you're working, and I never got back to it. But then I worked in shops doing illustrations and graphics for screen printers. So I did the layouts and the drawings or whatever it was, and then it went and it was screen printed on t-shirts. And I did that for years in a place in Kansas City. After we left Kansas City, then I just started freelancing for screen printers around the different areas where we were moving to and stuff, which made it easy for the fact that once the kids started in school and in and out, somebody could be easily working their schedule as well.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah. And and as the computer became more and more back when I started the computer, I mean the layout was you put the letters down like this. And if you wanted some fancy, you drew it out, and then you got Ruby Lith, and you got an X-Acto knife.
I know.
Now you just tell the computer to do it, and away it goes.
I completely relate to this because we've talked about this before, but I worked in what was one of the first 4-color printing companies, and that was up in Cincinnati, and I was in the art department. And this was mostly packaging design for Kroger's mostly, but we worked with a lot of the same stuff because there were no computers. I mean, this was not
somebody had to do that.
Yeah, you had to do that.
Cut it up and boom, it's done. But how do I get that on the computer?
I know.
Tell the computer to do
transitioning was tough. I wasn't doing it then.
No.
When that all changed for me.
And then when you got the point when you got done with the piece, you just emailed it to the printer, and they took it from there.
I know. I relate. I know.
But yeah, I've kind of got out of that and quit doing it. You know, everybody has a computer now, and everybody's an artist.
Oh gosh, I know. Yeah, yeah.
It was kind of starting to get to the point where I was just fixing people's artwork. They really didn't want their artwork.
That's not exciting. I really want to thank you for letting me come and see where you work.
Sure.
And see what you do. And
Well, it's cool to have you here.
share you with the tribe. And say to the viewers, of course, thank you for watching. Please do like if you do like this, and subscribe. And there's actually a little gray bell that if you hit that, I think it's going to be down here. I might be pointing the wrong way. I don't know. Anyway, if you hit that, it'll let you know when the next episode comes out. It'll notify you. So that's how you.
And they're a lot of fun to watch. I've watched them all.
That's good to know. Yeah, you can take your time watching them. They're,
Yeah.
you know.
When you want to sit at the computer for a while, then you.
Yeah, exactly. Morning coffee, if you've got nothing else to do,
Lunch
take 20
break.
minutes. Yeah, definitely. All right, ma'am. Thank you so
you.
much. And
These are awesome, Kay. You're doing a great job.
oh, thank you. I'm enjoying it still.
Yeah.
Let's see.
You'll be one of those people that's saying 10 years from now, I've been doing this for 10 years.
Oh God, I don't know about that.
See.
Thanks so much again, and we are signing out.
Thanks.
Bye bye.